Peace, peace, peace. Another early edition of Knicks and Bruises game night. You know, we got to switch things up a little bit on game night. Appreciate you guys for joining. Shout out to the chat. Yo, Black is time. And of course, I got my co host, the Queen. Peace, Queen.
Peace. This is like we got to come up with something like Knicks and Bruises takes on your lunch break or something, or something like that. But
I like that.
yeah, I like these early shows. We got the pregame. I think Sim said he going at 2:30. As you say, we have to switch it up, and then Queens Court stood at 8:30. We going at 6, but we always here, to talk about the Knicks. But I was thinking, prior to going on with you, for me, the reason why I wanted to have my own channel or even be a part of this community was just for that, for community. Then when I got in here, it's always for me about trying to find my space in the world, but also in this community as well. And just saying, who do I jive with? Like, what shows do I do that I feel like energized from doing the shows? And I feel energized when I'm doing a show with you. I feel energized when me, you, and Sim are together. I feel energized, obviously, with the Dope Soul. And there's other Freezy, whatever. I don't want to get into, but I'm just saying is sharing the show with you, that's that space where I get excited about. It's not like, oh man, I got another show and then I got Queen's Court tonight. It's like, yo, I'm going on with Tony at 12 o'clock, man. I'm just super excited because of the chemistry that we have. And to me, it's just energy raising. It raises my energy when we do shows together, even when we talking on the phone about the Knicks.
Hey, first of all, I appreciate it, and the feeling is mutual. But I mean, like you said, we were talking backstage, and then we getting into this deep Knicks
Right,
conversation,
right, right.
and I'm just like, all right, we gotta go, we gotta
We
just
gotta
hit live.
save some of
So,
this.
you so speaking of which, I got David L's comment. Shout out to David
Mhm.
L. Lit up. Them free throws was fired by from Mitch. Need more to drop, and that's basically exactly kind of what we was talking about. Behind the scenes,
Right.
we were highlighting prior to the other day. We were highlighting the lob and Mitch
Right.
getting the finish, and I'm like, oh man, I forgot to talk about him hitting them two clutch free throws.
Right.
Those free throws, were bigger than the lob
Right.
at that moment. And yeah, so shout out to Mitch. He definitely needs to continue hitting them, but shout out to him for hitting them in a down the stretch in a timely situation.
No doubt
When we
about it.
really needed it.
No doubt about it. But also shout out to Tibbs for going back to Mitch down the stretch, because when he did it, I was like, Hartenstein has been was playing better than Mitch in the first half. Why are we going back to Mitch? But I think that's part of coaching. Like, Mitch was complaining, I'm frustrated, whatever you want to, call it. And Tibbs went right back to him down the stretch, even though in the first half he played okay. But I think that was just Tibbs' way of saying, I'm still confident in you.
Hmm.
I closed with Hartenstein because that was just what was best for the team, at that time. I'm still confident in you. He feeling a little down, maybe, whatever. Let me give him, this opportunity. And he rewarded Tibbs by the 2 free throws and then finishing the lob. So, Tibbs did that before with RJ Barrett. He sat him twice, maybe once or twice in a row down the stretch.
Hmm.
Then that third game came back with him. And I think that was after he complained. He didn't want to talk to the media because he
Hmm.
didn't want to do anything wrong. And I know people was like, oh, Tibbs is scared. So now he gonna play, RJ Barrett the next game. But I think, it's just recognition that maybe a guy is getting down on himself, and that's
Hmm.
not my intention, but maybe they too young or whatever to understand that. I'm gonna close with him because I don't want to lose this guy. I don't want this guy to feel like I'm not confident, um, in him.
Yeah, I think that is a great point. I mean, like we could literally do a deep dive and make a whole show literally about that particular topic. I think that's how intriguing it is. But to your point, I mean, people talk about break them down or build them up. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? That kind of situation. And I think you made an excellent point. Both times, the player, excuse me one second, my bad. All right. The player, um,
Hmm.
could have been at that breaking point or that low point,
Hmm.
and then Tibbs gives him that boost of confidence, that shot of adrenaline. Like, nah, you still, you know what I mean? You still vital to this team.
Right.
And to your credit, both those instances, RJ wasn't having the one of his best games when he brought him back
Right.
down the
Right.
court,
Right.
and Hartenstein arguably was outplaying Mitch, um, and he went back to Mitch as well. So that makes it even more of a confidence booster,
Right.
and I know people call us like Tib apologists and
Apologist.
things of that nature, but I mean, I
Finding
think this
things
is
to
just
compliment
another
him on.
time you gotta give Tibbs the credit because that is coaching. You know what I mean? That is true coaching. You know what I mean? Like it's accountability and it's lessons, and then it's also building you right back up. If I think it falls right in line with Deuce being situational, but his number getting called when
Right.
when somebody's out. Sims being situational, but Mitch went down and now he's
Mhm.
inserted in the starting lineup.
Right.
You know what I mean? So these
Right.
things they mean something, and they could really change the trajectory of a guy's career where some guys may not be able to handle Tibbs coaching, but it could also lead to them being out the league because you know what I mean. You have to adjust to it. You have to adjust to where you are.
Right.
So,
No doubt. And
um,
Mitch responded.
yes,
So part of it could have been, yo, he going back to me. Like he really believes in me. Maybe that has something to do with him hitting those two free throws. I don't know. But but he hit him and yeah, yeah. It was
and
just good
you
to see.
salute. And then one more thing I want to highlight about Mitch. Uh, he got that offensive rebound, right? Could have easily said, "I want to be more involved," and took and went back up with it. And what did he do? He saw Obi cut into the rim, and I think it was Obi. It was either Obi or Hart.
It was Obi.
It was Obi, and did some almost like a hook shot that turned into a pass to Obi, and I think Obi reversed it. Whatever it was, he converted
Right,
the, you know
right.
what I mean. But even that play right there, that was a big play, an eye opener. I think the announcer mentioned it as well. He could
But
have
you know what?
easily have taken that shot.
But sometimes guys take the shot because they're not even able to make the pass. I thought that shows something about his skill level too. That not
Facts,
only did he see Obi, he was able to deliver the pass to him. And I think that shows his development as well.
facts. Oh man, we wasn't. This wasn't even on the docket. The
Bonus
Mitch topic,
content. You never know what you're gonna get when we get together.
Oh man. Well, today is gonna be a short show. I'm tired. I got some running around I gotta get to. We're gonna do a mailbag. I picked out some comments and some questions from Nick's Bleacher Report chat. Some of them were pretty good comments. I figured, hey, let me see what me and the Queen could come up with and answer some of these
I got
questions.
some more bonus content. We could do it after though.
No. Let's in the chat. Go ahead. Let's get right to them first.
I want to know. This is a really good question, JJ. I love JJ. He all over the MBK and the sports content creators community. I appreciate you. Tibbs got to show me in the playoffs. The question I have for the chat, and even for us, how will we know that it's Tibbs
Mm,
and not the players? How do
mm,
you know that it's the coach and not the players executing what the coach said? Sometimes it's apparent when when the other team is doing something consistently and you don't see any adjustments being made, then it becomes apparent. But sometimes you can make changes and it just doesn't work. So is it because it doesn't work? Like that you could say it's on Tibbs? Sometimes it's hard to tell whose fault it is when he loses the game, because some of it is just, oh man, had he put he didn't make that rotation, it's his fault. Had he put McBride in, he and we don't even know how McBride would have done had he, had he put him in. So sometimes it's hard to tell. Go ahead, Tony was gonna say something.
No, I was just thinking, like, even that, I want to say it was the final final possession of the last game in the playoffs that he put Frank in to guard
Hmm.
Trey Young.
Hmm.
Am I accurate in that?
Yes, and it
And,
backfired.
yeah,
It didn't
and
work.
like,
It didn't work.
yeah, yeah, but even in that, you know what I mean? Like, that was a split decision, a split second decision. You know what I mean? Frank hadn't played at all, and I get the people who questioned Tibbs' decision, but then again, had he got the stop, now everyone is praising it. You know what I mean? Like, oh, he had the guts and the wherewithal to go to this guy, the defensive guy who hadn't played a lick in 3 games or whatever the case. You know what I mean? So it's
Or
always a catch-22.
or how many times, and shout out to Kev, how many times have fans called for Tibbs to use Frank or somebody else in spot duty? In spot duty. Oh, why he didn't put Nilakina in for that possession? Or this guy was killing us. Why he didn't give so and so some turns at this guy? And so when he does do it, and the guy doesn't come through, oh, why would you put him in for just one, just one possession? So um
So
you
for me
it,
to answer your question though, I think it's kind of 50-50. I think you got to put half the blame on or half the responsibility on the coach and
mhm,
half the responsibility on the players. Like, as you could be the best coach in the world, number one, players got to buy in, because if they don't buy in,
mhm,
it don't matter if you're the best coach in the world, because the players aren't necessarily following your blueprint, and
mhm,
vice versa. You could be a mediocre coach, but if all the players are bought into your system, your philosophy, your belief, chances are you're going to be a better team than those teams who aren't bought in and are going rogue. And they could be, again, it's vice versa. They could be the more talented team, the more
right,
talented players. But
right,
if they're not on that same page, then
right,
a less talented team that is more consistent and more together could
right.
could win. So I think it goes 50-50.
Right. I will say to Kevin Bergen, is it okay?
Yeah,
No.
absolutely.
I remember watching Trey guard Bullock in the playoff, and Trey was just standing in the corner having to break defensively. But you got to keep in mind, if you change one thing, you change another. So you're going to take Bullock out, maybe to put somebody else in that Trey Young would have to guard. Bullock is a starter on your team. So what are you going to do? So the only way to make Trey work is to put somebody in that lineup that is gonna make him work.
Hmm.
That's the only. So you're gonna have to take Bullock out, and hopefully you have that player on your bench that you can put in to make Trey work, or have Bullock in backdoor actions, moving around, whatever. But he'll just be running around because Bullock is not somebody that can create, his own shots. And are you running Bullock over off of double screens and all of that to try to get Trey Young to work when Bullock is not that type of player?
How about this though? And again, this could have to do with two things: the personnel, but it also could be the coaching. Because one thing we didn't do in that series, or I'll say in particular that year, was seek out the weak link or seek out the guy that you want to go at. This year, on the other hand, last game in particular, down the stretch, anybody who Murray was guarding was attacking.
Right.
And I think that was huge. But we've seen that a lot this year where the Knicks seek out their advantages.
Right.
Now, a lot of that has to do with Brunson minded running the point, but let's not forget
Right.
we did have Rose at that time who was you know what I mean? I think at least that
You got to have the personnel too to make those guys. Like to Kevin
absolutely.
Bergen's point, just having Trey follow Bullock around, that's not going to do anything. When you making those offensive players work, is because you have somebody on the
Hmm.
offensive end that can also score. So you just following Bullock through the lane, and Bullock is not somebody that can create off the dribble. To me, that does nothing to Trey Young. All right,
Hmm.
so he cuts through the lane. Trey Young cuts through the lane with him. That's not going to do anything. What put pressure on those guys is if Trey Young, our offense was so stout, just say
Hmm.
that the weakest link, for example, was Derrick Rose, and he had to play Derrick Rose, who can put the ball on the floor, get him in foul. You understand what I'm trying to say? So
And
it's not just following somebody through; it's about having the personnel that makes Trey have to guard him, or we're
you
gonna
got
score.
you got five threats on the floor.
You
You know
got
what I mean?
five threats on this
Or
floor. You
or
can't
or or
hide off
four
of nobody.
threats, and then you want to now you got to put them on a big who now becomes a threat because you got Trey Young on
Correct.
him.
Correct.
You know what I mean? You're not going to put
Right.
Trey Young or Mitchell Robinson. You know what I mean? As the non-shooter or whatever. So yeah,
Right.
it's definitely personnel has a huge thing part to do with it.
And then
Um, sh-
there's going to be hard pressed for them to do that, to hide anybody in our lineup this year.
yeah, facts. Shout out to I am Jarrell in the chat. Geraldine, appreciate you. Let's get into this mailbag. Let's see what we got here. Monday mailbag. Like I'm working on my slides, people. You know, they're gonna get better as we go. But let's see. We got Cat at KT233. He's a Wolves fan. He says Wolves fan here. Hope um you hope Ant plays tonight, or would you rather take an easy win? Um, that's my first question. We had a Wolves fan
Who's he
jump into
talking
the
to?
Knicks chat.
He's talking to other Wolves fans?
No, he's talking to Knicks fans. He jumped into the
Oh,
Knicks chat and
okay.
he's saying, are we hoping that Anthony Edwards plays and we have a full strength opponent, or
Mhm.
would we rather just take the easy win? To be
Easy win for
honest,
me.
yeah. To be honest, I'm always gonna take the easy win.
No doubt.
But
No
you know what I
doubt.
mean. At the same time, we're not looking at it as an easy win. We're not
Right.
overlooking opponents. We've
Right.
lost games when they best two
Right.
players were out. You know what I mean. And
Right.
at this time of year and the way this team is playing, I don't think it matters if Ant was playing or not. I think they're gonna come in with that same philosophy, that same mentality, and not take them lightly. So we take who's in front of us. That would be my response.
Yeah. I mean, and because a lot of times you want to play against the best players because you want to see who your team is. You want to know who they are. But I think we already know who the Knicks are. So if we can get an easy win at this point, and first of all, to your point, Tony, who's to say it's going to be an easy win? But you would think it'll be maybe a bit easier with Ant out, maybe, because a lot of times guys do step up when the best player is out.
Hmm.
But I'll take an easy win if that's actually what it is, because you can rest guys. Guys can play less minutes, even if they are playing the same amount of minutes. Is less intense. It's less intense. They don't have to fly around, as
Hmm.
much to stop the guy. So at this point in the season, an easy win is 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 welcome, I think.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Andy says I was thinking news was Edwards is definitely out. I mean, they say he's out indefinitely. I don't know. The guy said he's the Wolves fan. I think it was more of a hypothetical as far as would you rather face a opponent at full strength? At
Right.
least that's the way I looked at it. But yeah, I think he is out indefinitely. There's no timetable on when he'll be back. Uh, put the word. I'm sorry, I was reading Ian Jarrell. He says, "Put the Wolves jersey back on Sam Mitchell. I don't care where who we're playing. Beat the Wolves." I agree.
Right.
I you know whoever's
And
in front of
JJ
us.
don't want an easy way out. Playing T's full strength better prepares you for the playoffs. Do you want to be better prepared or do you want to be better rested?
Mm,
Like I think the Knicks are, you know, I think the Knicks are as prepared as they're going to be for the playoffs. I think we're a team where we kind of
mm,
know who they are. So if we get an opportunity to play guys less minutes, I'm all for it.
Out. JJ says Edwards out the walking boot, questionable for tonight.
Okay.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Let's see. Let's move right along. Get this on. Michael at Mojo CT. A man up truth telling moment, right? Who'd you underestimate more during the course of the past year or two? Tibbs, RJ, Jalen Brunson, or
No,
Hart?
no, no. That's Julius Randle.
I'm sorry.
JR.
Yeah, Randall, Brunson, Hart, Tibbs. I mean, I guess you could say you can name whomever, RJ, but over the course of the last 2 years, what Nick player or coach have you underestimated the most? Um,
Nobody for me because I think I was high on. I mean, Hart wasn't really on my radar for the past year or two, but I've always been a big fan of Tibbs. I always thought with Randall we should never give up on talent. So when everybody was calling on him to be traded and what have you, I was like, nah, we got to see him a one more year, give him an opportunity to rebound. We can't give up on the talent. And I've always been high on Brunson, even when he was in Dallas. I was hoping we can get him.
hmm.
But if you want to say who did I underestimate the most?
Or if you're gonna rephrase it, like who has surprised you the most? Because I think that would go hand in hand.
Okay. Okay.
For me, I'm
Hmm.
gonna say Hart,
Hmm.
and it's not so much of a. Actually, I would definitely label it a underestimation, and it's not like I didn't like him, didn't want him, or anything of that. I didn't know he would be this valuable to this team. And I definitely didn't think he could be this valuable like off the gate, off the rip. You know what I mean? From first game out to now, you know what I mean? Like his value is like, and it's crazy because they talk about immeasurables
Hmm.
and things that don't show up on a stat sheet,
Hmm.
but and I always understood the concept, you know what I mean? Like it's not like it was foreign to me,
Hmm.
but to see where he has meant to this team,
Hmm.
there's no way I would have guessed it or anticipated it. So he would probably be the guy that if I had to say I underestimated, um, it would probably be Hart so far.
Yeah, I mean, true. He said
I
over the
know.
past year or two, he wasn't on my radar. But yeah, since coming to the team, I thought he would be good. I thought he would fit in. But he's just elevated our second unit and the team, period.
The coolest 718 says most people underestimated Jalen Brunson. James Glass says I didn't think Brunson would be this. I wanted him as a Nick, but he has become a star. Uh, yeah, I mean, I guess slightly I could put him in there as well, just for the simple fact I thought he would be great for us. I thought he was exactly what we needed, but I didn't think the numbers would be what they are. You know what I mean? I didn't think the impact would be what it was either. Them Villanova boys, man. They making a difference.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, Andy says, I'm not gonna lie. For me, it's test the time. Try out some McBride, D Rose, even Fournier with certain rotations. I'm fine going in the playoffs from the fifth spot. Cool.
Well, I'm fine going with the fifth start too. I don't know if it's I don't know if it's for certain that we will be the fifth spot if we do that. I mean, that's the issue. If we knew right now that we have the fifth spot, I'm all for resting
Mm.
players, extending the rotation and what have you. But who's to say we don't fall to seven? And if you look at 7 through 10, those are shark infested waters down there. Like, I definitely want to um remain 6 and up.
The public enemy #1 says, Tibbs, I'm still doubting. I don't like his ways. I like it because it's man up truth telling,
Yeah,
So
no doubt.
I know a lot of people. I haven't seen a Randall in the chat, but I know a lot of people. You know what I mean? When
Still,
when, when I brought up the question, do we think Randall could bounce back next year? This was last year. You know what I mean? A lot of people was like, I don't know. I
cut
don't
bait,
know.
man. Cut bait. That was the sentiment. Cut it right now.
Oh shoot. Let's see. Let's move along. And excuse me, I know one or two of these comments will be duplicated. I'll just bypass it when it comes up. But um, Knicks keeping Dallas pick this year. If I'm putting my money on it, I'm saying no. I, for the simple fact, I mean, number of reasons. We're still in the running to make a major move. If one presents itself, I think that'll be an asset. I think they'll be looking at draft night to see what they can do and potentially
Mhm.
pick the player for another team rather than moving the pick. So now that doesn't affect moving a pick next year. If you move if you draft the player then move them as opposed to moving the pick. But I don't think we utilize it, to be honest. Um, if I had to put a percentage, I say 80% chance we move that pick somehow, some way, whether it's in a big trade for a player, in combination with other things, or moving down, or even moving out the draft and picking up a future asset. We've seen that's kind of been the MO of the front office.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I don't know if I would put, yeah, maybe even 80. It's a high percentage the Knicks don't pick in this draft.
Okay, here's Andy too. He says, "Nah, we the fifth seed. I want to be the fifth, so we're the underdogs in the playoffs." Um, that's how I felt 2 years ago. I don't feel the same this year. I feel like wherever we land, I'm cool with. If we the fourth seed, granted we started off, with not the greatest home record, but we've picked that up. You know what I mean? We got over 500. We're staying over 500. It seems like so. Yeah, I feel like this year is different. It don't matter. We could we could land 6, 5, 4. You know what I mean? Wherever we land, I feel like we're comfortable. Um, it's not really a matchup that I'm afraid of. Like my least favorable is Bucks, but even that, it's not like I'm afraid of them. It's not like I don't think we could beat them. I think if it'll take 7 to do it if we do it, but
Right.
I'm you know what I mean. I really feel like we could go toe to toe with anybody. So
Yeah, I
me
agree with
personally,
that.
I don't care.
I don't care where we fall as long as we're in the top six. I do not want to be um in the play-in.
Yeah, Kavan, did I get it? There we go. He says, I don't care where we land.
Hmm.
Poor Rosado. We have to beat the better teams to prove we are the better team. Can't run from competition. Agreed.
Hmm.
Agreed. That's why even a first round matchup that is relatively unfavorable, I don't mind that either, because we if we come out and beat them, now our confidence becomes sky high. You know what I mean? Now it's like, all right, we just beat the Celtics in the first round, or the Bucks. I mean, granted, chances of that happening matching up is low, but you know what I mean? We beat one of those top three teams early. You know what I mean? Now we moving forward with even more confidence. If we go into a matchup where, you know what I mean, we're expected to win, or you know what I mean, it's not gonna really mean nothing. But so yeah, can't run from competition. I agree
This is the
100%.
concern I have. How things are setting up now is there's an expectation that we get out of the first round, despite the fact that whoever we play in the first, unless we get that fourth seed, whoever we play in the playoffs, it's probably going to be a favorite
Hmm.
in that first round. And I see Knick fans already lined up. If we don't get out of the first round, it's a failure. And I just want to remind you guys that as well as we're playing, those other whoever we play probably will be the favorite going into the first round. So for me, I'm not really looking at if we don't come out of the first round, it's a failure. I'm looking more after watching the games, each game,
Yeah, how we
who are
how
we
we
as a
perform.
team, evaluating the team, how do we perform? Because one of the big concerns I have that probably hasn't been exploited enough in the regular season, but will really be exploited in the playoff is our lack of perimeter shooting.
Hmm.
That's going to be exploited in the playoffs. They're not going to let Randall and Brunson do what they want to do. And so when they double team them or blitz them or whatever they're going to do, if the other players don't go come through, the Knicks are going home. The Knicks are going to go home if we don't get other guys stepping up. And then we're going to be talking about how how it was a failure, when the reality of is that in the playoffs they take away your first option. And if you're going to move on, it's because you're able to execute your second and third options. And to be able to execute your second and third options, whoever those guys are have to come through.
And even with that though, I'm not like super discouraged, because like this is we know that's a weakness, right? So if the weakness gets exploited and that's the reason we lose, I don't think that's necessarily a failure. It's showcasing where we need to improve, what the target area. You, you,
Tony,
you
I
know.
agree with you. Explain that to the Knicks fan base.
Oh.
when, if that happens and we don't get out of the first round because of that.
And I think the Nick fan base as a whole, if I had to put a percentage, I think 60, at least 60% would agree with that. I think that other 40, at least half of that percentage, the 40%, is picking up on the national media narrative. You know what I mean? Like once Stephen A said that, yeah, I mean, it was like now everybody's kind of running with that agenda. Oh, you got to get out the first round. But what was your expectations coming into the season? And then you look at the trajectory. So now it automatically becomes a first round thing. You know what I mean? Why not look at the performance and see how we play? Not if we lose or not. Like you said earlier, were we competitive? Was it close? Did we lose um down the stretch? Which again, we're built for these type of moments with Brunson being a clutch player. You know what I mean? I think we got the capability for guys to step up, even though they're not shooting well per se. Quickly, Grimes, any one of those guys, Hart.
Yep.
He's on the opposite end. He came in, everybody talk about, oh, he's not a shooter, and he sure was almost 60% or so from three with us.
Mm-hmm,
So
hmm
you know what I mean, like the same way he's shooting with us, I feel like quickly could have those moments in the
Oh,
series.
no doubt about it.
Grimes. So
I'm just saying if it doesn't happen,
no,
but
no,
you're
you're
right.
right.
Any one
No,
of
you're
those
right.
guys, anyone, look, think about Dallas last year. They went to the Western Conference Finals. Why? because their 3-point shooting picked up in the playoffs. And so guys had to pick their poison. You're gonna double Luca, try to take the ball out of Luca's hands. Okay, when he passed it to those guys, Bullock, Dorian Finney-Smith, whoever it was, those guys was hitting shots. That changed everything
Everything, yeah.
because now you couldn't focus in on Luca. So if we get that type of shooting, it doesn't even have to be at that level. It could be different people, to your point, different players on in different games. But if we get similar type shooting, the Knicks are going to be very hard to beat.
Geraldine says, I don't watch ESPN. I don't watch it, but I watch clips on YouTube. I ain't gonna lie. Like, like my days of actually watching the shows is I'm far removed from that. Mostly because of commercials, but also because of the takes.
But
I
David,
had
I don't
another
even
one.
think we're going to draft.
Say that
He
again.
said, who we going to draft? Facts. Most likely someone not better than who we got. Oh, okay. I thought he said somebody better than who we got.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's move right along. Five. Oh, here's a truth telling moment from Knicks at Knicks Jets 007. He said, I trashed that Josh Hart trade. I apologize, and I will be getting my number 3 jersey soon. See?
Well, let's ask. Is there anybody that I don't know if it has to be as bad as trashed, but is there anybody we didn't quite believe in and now we wouldn't mind getting their jersey? I don't know if I would pay for it, but if
Mm.
somebody got me the jersey, you would wear it. Is there anybody like that on the team?
Well, I
Um,
know the next jersey I'm getting is Quickly's. Um, he's becoming my like personal like fan favorite Nick. Like
mhm, mhm.
he's the guy that I get excited when he go off. You know what I mean? Like all the celebrations and stuff. I'll be on my couch mocking him, having fun. You know what I mean? Like, and we haven't had that. Like
Yeah,
we've never had that. That's something we always got to watch on from other players, other teams, and then occasionally,
right, right,
you know,
right,
unfortunately, them celebrating against us. You know
right,
what I mean? So I love Quickly. So he's definitely the guy whose jersey I would be
right.
getting.
But he
But
wasn't the guy that you didn't believe in, and now you're getting his jersey because you
um
always believed in Quick.
well going and going back to that previous question, it would probably be Grimes because I wasn't really sold on Grimes. I mean, you and I had that conversation. Like, what has he proven yet? What has he done in this thing? And you can still say it, but the things that other people saw early, I definitely come to see with Grimes now, and so Grimes is probably the guy that I wasn't too sure on, but I'm like, yo, he got a chance to be special as well.
Yeah. I think for me, I would have to see a little bit more in the shooting department before I actually get the jersey, but it would be McBride.
Mm,
But I got to see a little more shooting
mm.
because if he can get that shooting down, I would be, yeah, I would be happy to have him. Right now, I'm like, all right, he's one side of the ball. He's one side of the ball. But if he could get that shooting down, I know we saw it in that 18-point game, but more than flashes, more than flashes. Um, a little more consistent. Um, yeah, it'd probably be McBride.
Um, DJ Space Ghost. I didn't believe in Randall keeping it together, but I'm afraid I would get his jersey.
There'd be a lot of Randall jerseys in this fan base.
That's the other thing that used to bug me out too, because you know all the hate he was getting, but you see so many jerseys out there. You know what I mean
Right,
of his. So I'm like, I wonder if people are born with the jersey on. You know,
right.
but it was mostly the RJ jerseys that were born Randall.
Right,
You know,
right.
I had a couple other comments I wanted to throw out there. Uh, I am Jarrell says Deuce. Um, Geraldine says
Gerald, no, make sure you put that up. Go ahead, finish with this one.
uh, I would get a Jalen Brunson, Randall, and Josh Hart jersey.
Oh yeah,
Go
if we
ahead. Which
just
one you
talking
saw?
about players we like, I would definitely get those jerseys and a quickly jersey. Oh nah. I need a Tibbs jersey to answer this question. Yeah.
Uh, that would be dope. I want to see somebody with a Tibbs jersey. Somebody gotta
Right.
make that.
I trashed that Tibbs acquisition. I apologize. And we'll be getting my Tibbs jersey soon.
Uh, all right. Oh, here we go. Kerry Cox. He says, Hume. Oh, that wasn't it. Might have helped Mitch with his game. It was a previous comment that said, who said they
The one
want?
about
Somebody said,
hiring
oh,
Pat.
there we go. I want Pat Hewen hired on the Knicks coaching staff. You know, that's crazy. I was talking about that with my friend Bryant the other day, yesterday, I think. Um, I think he would be a nice addition. Familiar with Tibbs, so I don't think that would be a problem. But what I was talking about with my friend was actually how we never gave him the opportunity, and then when we finally offered him the assistant coaching job, he turned it down. He felt slighted,
Mhm,
um, because at that point he was actively waiting for a head coaching
mhm,
interview. You know what I
mhm.
mean? So I think they did interview him that year too, but it was like y'all wasn't intent on hiring me, and he felt
Right,
like a slap in the face. But
right,
those years prior, I mean, we had ample opportunity to give him a job or give him the assistant job early. You know what I
right,
mean? Like
right.
all those years he was elsewhere as an assistant.
Right.
But yeah, I wouldn't
Yeah.
mind him bringing him
And
back.
not just that, because it's Tibbs, if he is in his feelings, I'm not saying he is. Tibbs would may his relationship with Tibbs may smooth that over, you know?
Yeah, yeah, because he's one of the. I mean, yeah, he's one of the few Nick legends that never really came back to the like he came back, but came back in a work capacity
Right,
for
right,
the organization. You know what I mean?
right,
Like,
right,
and it's very spotty when he comes back,
right,
in general. So it
right.
would be a nice thing for karma. You know, smooth things over,
Yeah,
get rid of that nasty stain.
right. And it's actually it would be a position of need because you remember Kenny Payne. I don't know if that was Woodson's role, but it might have been Kenny Payne's role to work with the big guys. And that's what he's done, since he's been in the NBA as an assistant coach working with the big guys. So it wouldn't be like, oh, we just handing him, a position. There's a need.
Somebody put a comment in one of my videos, and I meant to highlight it too. It was like he watched the restream, and he
Hmm.
he he basically was discrediting Tibbs coaching, or not coaching, development,
Hmm.
and giving the credit more so to Johnny Bryant. Um, but he had some good points. I didn't necessarily agree with the full statement, but he
Hmm.
had good points of seeing. If you say when you notice the guys who had the most growth, it's those guards that Bryant works with, as opposed to um our bigs, if you will, and saying that we could use um a big man coach. And he was saying that Johnny Bryant, Derrick Rose, um help the development of our young guys, our young guards, I should say, more than Tibbs in general. And the reason why I kind of I kind of agreed with his statement a little bit, and I responded to him, was Mitchell Robinson's biggest growth was when DeAndre Jordan came aboard. So I think there is some truth to the comment as far as the vets really helping with our young guys' development. Not taking anything away from the coach, me, but I think the
I
the vets
agree.
help.
Listen, this is all through the NBA. If you think the head coach is out there running drills with any of these players, you're mistaken. So when guys develop, it's the entire coaching staff, but particularly the developmental staff. That's what they're hired for.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? The coach is not out there getting rebounds and passing it out to Obi Toppin while he's shooting his 3-point, working on his 3-pointers. No coach in the NBA is doing that. Or I should say, I would be shocked if they are. That's what those guys are hired to do. So I
Yeah.
think where Tibbs helps and any coach helps the development is approach to the game,
Hmm. Mindset.
expectations. You're not getting in the game unless you clear this hurdle. Like that's how the head coach contributes to development. But no head coach is out there doing drills with the players. They're just not.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And if they are, guess what? It's taking away from something else that he should be doing as a head coach.
Come on.
Whether it's breaking down your next opponent, you know what I mean? Whether it's watching film and figuring out where the team how the team could get better. So I I agree 100%. Oh, it's funny when you said that, I just envisioned Tibbs getting a rebound and passing it out to
Because
Obi.
Tibbs is past that. I mean, that's what Tibbs did when he was an assistant coach with the Knicks. We brought Larry Johnson over and we was converting Larry Johnson from power forward to small forward. And Larry Johnson talked about the work he put in with Thibodeau, helping him put the ball on the floor, be able to create off the dribble. Tibbs put his time in with that type of stuff. He's not doing that now. He's the head coach. They got people for that. Just like he was that guy when Jeff Van Gundy was the coach. Salute,
Agree,
Cormega.
my guy.
Always following the MBK Dope Soul family and any other content creators as well. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. Um, I had another one I wanted to get to before his. Where was it? Oh, Geraldine. She said she also wanted a Mitchell Robinson jersey. She forgot to mention that. So
You know what? You know what? I said McBride. I said McBride. I need to see a little more consistency from Mitch, but it would be Mitch because I've been on Mitch's ass. I've been on Mitchell Robinson for a while because I see the potential and I see how he's playing well. Don't get me wrong, but I see how Mitchell Robinson can actually dominate on a nightly basis. I see flashes of it, and I just want him to put it together more consistently. But I'm not taking away from what he already does, but it would be Mitchell Robinson. I would have to come with a Mitchell Robinson jersey for sure. Thanks,
yeah,
Jersey,
Mitch is
for
definitely
reminding
on
me.
my list. And since he got the contract, it's a little bit safer. That's been my biggest reserve as far as buying any jersey. I don't have an American Express card, so uh I don't want to buy a jersey and then player get traded, and now I'm sitting there with, what I mean,
Mhm.
a jersey. But some people don't care. They'll wear whatever jersey they got to the
Yeah,
game,
yeah,
and,
yeah.
and, and I salute those people as well. I feel funny wearing a mellow jersey, but he's playing for whatever team out the league. I don't care, but what I mean, if you're playing for another team, I can't wear your Nick jersey. Let me get to, let's see what else. I got a couple more. Ross at RMC. Oh wait, let me see. All right, I'm not gonna figure that out. So Ross, anybody else think we have a? Anybody else think we can win the rest of our remaining games? Mm,
What's that? 11 we got left.
10 games left.
We won
I'm
10
on
and 0 before.
I'm on record saying our biggest. I hate doing this too, but I feel like our biggest challenges moving forward are the Cavs game, obviously, and I'm not even gonna say the Miami games, but I think that Orlando game, just for the simple fact that they've kind of had our number last year.
Mhm.
I, did they beat us this year? They might have.
They might have, but I think we've won the series this year.
Yeah, we're up in the series,
Mhm.
but they play us well. You know what I mean? Like they
Right.
they 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 play us well, and they've been playing well against some good teams recently. So, um, and then just that always that random chance of just underestimating the team, looking past them or
Mhm.
whatever the case. So,
Mhm. Mhm.
um, that's my track game, and then the Cleveland game. But I think we could go 8-2.
Right.
Um, but I think we can go 10-0 too, because
Yeah.
I feel, what I mean, that Cavs game is gonna be just as important to us as it is to them. Not just for the record, what I mean, not just for the standings, but
Mhm.
the chances of us meeting are probably the highest percentage of
Mhm.
any other matchup right now.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's
Right.
probably like
Right.
a 58% chance that matchup is set in stone. Whether it's us four, them five, us four, or what I mean, whatever way it goes.
Right.
Um,
Does that matter to you whether we have home court advantage
no,
or not against them?
no,
Mhm.
no. Um, I mean, there's honestly a part of me. If I had to choose, I think I would prefer to start on the road against them, and try to s-
Mhm.
squeeze one out early. You know what I mean? Get one of them road wins early.
Mhm.
Um, because I feel like, I mean, whatever. But the pressure's on the home team, especially if you're starting out at home. That pressure's on you. You know what they always say. The series didn't start until you
Right.
win one
Right.
on the road. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
So I wouldn't mind getting one or two early on the road, and
Right.
go home with a lead.
I just want to say something real quick about resting players. We had that 3-day rest until we played Denver. And when we play the Magic on Thursday, we got another 3-day rest. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We don't play again till Monday. And that's against the Rockets. So there's some rest. Over these past 2 weeks, they've been getting some rest. Because I assume, unlike Pat Riley, they haven't been having hard practices during those off during those off days.
Pat Riley just punishing them. He's like, yo, y'all not playing up to up to Heat standards
Right.
practice.
No, when he was with the Knicks, I'm talking about.
Oh no, no, I'm
He
talking about I'm talking about right now
oh,
over
okay.
there. Like he's probably giving them. He's not even the coach yet. He's probably giving them practice.
Mhm.
Oh man. Let's see. Let's move on. Move on. Oh. There we go. Carlo. He says, just curious why everyone thinks we match up well with Cleveland. Mitchell turns Mitchell does turn up in the playoffs. You want to lead or you want me to lead?
Um, yeah. I'm not sure I'm saying we would win because we match up well with them. Um, I just believe in our team. I just believe in our team. And I do think that the Cavs are a dangerous team, just like Philly, Boston. So I don't think it's an easy matchup by any stretch of the imagination. And I don't know out of all of those teams if I would pick Cleveland, um, because they are taller.
Mm-hmm.
They have Jared Allen patrolling the paint, in terms of rebounding. So, we're pretty good with second chance points, but they're a very good rebounding team. Because think about it. We're not a good perimeter shooting team, but we're top 10 in offensive efficiency. Why is that? We don't turn the ball over, so we take advantage of every opportunity we get. We get second chance points. We limit the other team from getting second chance points. You're playing Cleveland. I don't know if we're getting as many second chance points as we usually get against Cleveland. I don't know if we're keeping Cleveland off of the boards. And if we are, we're gonna have to put in some, we're gonna have to put in some work, right? Then they also have somebody who can turn up. And I get it that um Donovan Mitchell didn't play that well when he was in Utah, but your team has a lot to do with it. the opposition can load up on you if you don't have a lot of players on your team that can take the pressure off and make them pay for loading up on
Mm-hmm.
you. And he didn't have that. He has that
Mm-hmm.
on Cleveland. You know what I mean? So he's going to have a little more freedom to do his thing. I'm not running from Cleveland, but I ain't running to them either. You know what I mean?
I think you're spot on.
Mhm.
Um, I agree 100%. They're not my most. They're not the matchup that I would prefer the most.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right. Right.
And they're not even the matchup I would prefer the most out of the top 14. If we're being
Mhm.
honest, you know what I mean. So but
Right.
I'm not running from them, not scared of them either.
Right. Correct.
I think part of it with them is the inexperience of the team as a whole. Not you know what I mean. Not Mitchell per se, because he has the playoff experience and has shown improve in the playoffs. But I think the team is newly constructed, if you will. Now, granted, they had a nice run last year as well,
Mhm.
but
Right.
overall, I think the the cornerstones of our team have been together longer, if you will. Obviously, not Brunson, not Hart, but the that we had a core going back 4 years, if you will, for the most part. So I think that's one of the reasons. I think from the outside looking in, this is not my stance, but I think a lot of Knicks fans will point to the playoff performance that Brunson had head
Mhm.
to head. Donovan Mitchell, obviously, that was one of Mitchell's worst playoff performances, if you will.
Mhm.
Um, so I think that's a reason. And then I think the hype of that series is
Mhm.
probably the one of the biggest first round matchups that could be out there. I would argue the biggest.
Right.
With all the side stories, the Donovan Mitchell, the Brunson first Donovan Mitchell again, you know what I mean? Like it's so many different narratives and stories, and like the NBA, the reporters, they're gonna have a field day,
It's a media
with that
darling.
series.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that's why it's such a
Right.
what I
Right.
mean talked about. But I agree with you. They're not the team I'm running to, but not running away from anybody. And
Right.
it just seems like that's the most likely series that will occur. You know what I mean? Like even with people winning games, losing games, it still feels like that's the one that's most likely to stay the same. So
Right. Can I put
uh
this up real quick?
mhm.
Kev, Kevon Bergen, we need momentum going into the playoffs. Sitting players to avoid injury isn't the answer, in my opinion. And Marcus Miller, at this moment, I like Jules over Mobley. Not saying this will be the case over the next 5 years, but right now, Jules cooking Mobley. I can't disagree. I don't think I would disagree.
And that's a great point too, because I think we're a little bit more seasoned than they are. That's what I was trying to say. Uh, so, and get a couple more comments. I like why salute. I don't think it was Spider's worst playoff performance. I just think Brunson was better.
Mhm.
Um, okay. When I say worst, I didn't even mean it in the bad sense. I should have said it wasn't one of his better playoff performances.
Right,
Because I wasn't trying to like say he was bad.
right,
It just wasn't one of his better ones.
right.
Kerry Cox, Boston looks messy right now.
So
And
does Denver, but we not playing in the Western Conference.
so do the Lakers,
And the
or
Lakers.
my daughter calls them the Lackers. Uh, let's see, let's move on. What we got? We got. My
I have
question
no
is, what
idea.
separates a star and a superstar? For me, I'm on record. I've said it numerous times. It's the playoff performance. I feel like you can be a star in this league, but you cannot become a superstar until you have that performance in the playoffs. And that doesn't necessarily have to be a win. We've seen it with Donovan Mitchell. We've seen the performances that he's come up with in the playoffs. They didn't necessarily win those series. You know what I mean? But that guy did everything he could and gave the team every opportunity they could. And when it comes down to like the blame game, even though the stars get the blame, you can't blame his effort on why they didn't win. So to me, it's you can only become a superstar after performing at that level in the playoffs. Regular season, you could be a star. You might not even make the playoffs, and I feel like you could be a star. But to hit superstardom, you got to do it, and you got
So
to
you
get to the
think
playoffs.
you see Mitch as a Donovan Mitchell as a superstar? I mean, by your definition.
By my definition, yes, I can't argue with someone who makes the argument. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So he's there. He's there. Yes.
Wow.
But
Mm-hmm.
at with my same logic, you can say the same for I guess pre-injury Murray on Denver, right?
Right. For me, there is a difference between a star and a superstar, but for me, that's like the difference between chocolate ice cream and chocolate ice cream with some chocolate chips. Meaning that you're gonna still win. You could still win a championship
With a
with a star or a superstar.
mm-hmm.
You're gonna still need two players, even if you got a superstar. They're not carrying a team by themselves. So to me, but there is a difference between star and superstar, but I don't think it makes much. Kevin Durant is a superstar, but even with Kevin Durant, you're gonna still need another star. You know, I don't see. Um, Let me try to see somebody who's a star but may not be a superstar. Tatum. Some people would say he's a superstar. Say Tatum is a star, but he's not on Kevin Durant's level, so
Mm-hmm.
to speak. He's a star. He still needs somebody else with him. So
Mm-hmm.
to me, it's like the difference between an 8 and a 10. A 8 is good enough. Having a star is good enough. It's not that much. There is a difference, but you can win with either one of them, a star or a superstar. So for me, you need a star, two of them. And for me, it's hard to say you're a star. Even a star, I have to see in the playoffs. Even a star, I have to see in the playoffs. That's why I'm
Well,
saying, to me, it's
well,
just different levels of the same.
yeah. I
You
mean,
rocking
I
out
mean
in the
that's
regular
that,
season.
that's that's why I label it the way I do though,
Mhm.
because there's stars out there. There's stars out there on bad teams. You know what I mean? There's stars out there
That's what I'm
that
saying. For
don't have the
me,
personnel around them. But for me personally, for them to get to that, and again, it may be a flawed thinking. You know what I mean? It's almost like the uh the the narrative with the rings, right?
hmm
Where-
right,
Because I didn't win a ring,
right,
you saying that takes
right,
something away from my greatness.
right,
So it's like, oh, because I didn't make the playoffs, does that take away from a guy being a superstar?
right,
Unfortunately, I think it does, because you're never gonna get the recognition. You're never gonna get that acclaim unless you do it in the playoffs. Even for the and it's more like a casual fan thinking, right? But the
right,
casual fan, they may only watch the playoffs. So you could be a star, but they'll never know who you are if you never if you never made it to the playoffs.
right,
You know what I
right.
mean? Because they never seen you. I only watch you know what I mean, when it counts. So
Yeah.
that's why I feel like
To me, a star has nothing to do with the casual fan, but I understand who people who think that it is. For me, being a star or superstar is strictly basketball related, but I get it for those. And this is the thing: everybody has a different definition of what it
hmm
means to be a star and a superstar, right? For me, a star is crowned in the playoffs. To me, I don't a regular season star means, what does that mean? I need to be able to see you perform in the playoffs to cement it. I could be like
Cemented.
budding star. He looks like
Hmm.
a star. I could say all of those things, but it's cemented. Your status, in my opinion, is cemented in the playoffs. Number two, if you a star, I need to be able to go to you when we need a bucket.
Hmm.
That's it. I need to be able to go to you when we need a bucket, whether it's crunch time or not. I need to be able to know that I can go to you and you're going to deliver for me. That's my definition. A lot of people don't have that as part of their definition of a star. But for me, I can't be like, oh, this guy's a star, but we need a bucket
Hmm.
right now. And we go to you, we don't know what we're going to get. Or it's crunch time and we go to you and we don't know what we're going to get. I can't say that. So you got to perform in the playoffs, and we need to be able to go to you when we need a bucket. And most times, nobody delivers all the time. Most times you're gonna come through for
Yeah,
us.
I agree. Kerry Cox asks SGA. I'm assuming star, superstar. I'm gonna say star right now. I've been on record, but I think he got superstar potential. I definitely do. Um, and it may take him. I mean, I don't think it's gonna take that long with the way they developing that little roster over there. You know what I mean? And they showing things already without a full strength roster, and all the assets moving forward. So that team can be developed very well in the next year or two.
Hmm.
Three max. But I definitely give him a star for now.
Yeah, I would say budding. I would say budding star, but I'm not gonna argue with even star. But his status will be cemented in the playoffs. And listen, they're in the eighth seed right now. They're 1.5 games out of the sixth seed because of his performance. You know,
Hmm.
so I ain't arguing with anybody who says that he's a star. I'm not arguing.
All right, I think I'm coming down to the tail end. I might be two. I think it's one more though. Let's see. This is what you was talking about earlier. So I
Mhm.
know your answer, but it goes. Shout out to David. David says Julius needs 38 more threes to set the franchise record. Will he do it? 38 threes in 10 games.
That's getting
That's
harder
that.
now. It's
Yeah,
getting
that's
harder.
3.8 per game. He got an average. Yeah, I mean,
Ooh.
you need about
And
four
he hasn't
for
been shooting it that well of since the
the
All-Star break,
last four
maybe
games.
the
He's
last 4 games. Okay.
17%, I think.
So that's what's hurting him because I think the odds were a little better.
Hmm.
Um, Whenever we talked about it the last time, the odds were a little better. It's getting a little tight now.
I know earlier you said you think he's gonna do it, but I
Yeah,
don't
but
know if you
now
knew
I'm
the.
like,
I didn't know if
I
you knew the
don't.
logistics of how many he needed and where he was at. Um, I'm gonna rephrase the question, but chat. I want to know. I see Alawai says yes. Let me know. Do y'all think Julius Randle will break the record? He needs 38 threes in 10 games. I'm gonna get back to the chat and highlight your answers in 1 second. Queen,
Mm,
my question to you is: do you think he's conscious of it and that is affecting the
um,
shot in the past 4 games?
I don't think
Or do
he's
you
been
think
put.
he's just, balancing out?
I think he's
He
cognizant of it, but I don't think he's. I think he's putting up less 3 point. Like there was a time when he was putting up 10,
eight.
11,
Yeah.
12,
Hmm.
8. I think he's putting up less actually. No,
I,
I would
I
have to
think
look at the box
I
score.
think you're right, but I also think that's because he's not making them. That's one adjustment that I think we've seen from Randall
Mhm.
is if he's 0 for 5 in the first half, he might not even take another one.
Right,
He readjusts. Now I'm playing the inside game. Now I'm going to bully ball. So I
right,
think that's just an adjustment that he's made while shooting
right,
poorly.
right,
And then if he start the game three for four, he's
mhm.
probably taking four more threes in the second half. You know
Right,
what I
right,
mean?
right, right, right. But kudos to him because I think he's aware of the record, but yet he's not jacking them up even when he's shooting poorly. You know, um, I don't think he gets 38 though. That's four, basically four a game, four maids a game.
I heard
That's a
Jarrell says, yes, he'll break it. Who else we got?
Jeff. Shout out to Jeff. How many has he been making this season? Let me look up his
It was another funny one. Who else said? Somebody else said yes. Oh, I'm going the wrong way. My bad. Alawi says yes, he'll break it. But then Alawi says, I bet you Fournier's in his ear about it. And you think he's jinxing him? you think you think he's like, come on, man. Just I just got here, You got mad time to break the record. Geraldine says it's possible. David L. Varoom already owns the record for all-time power forward. On the Knicks, that's definitely believable.
So he's hitting 2.8. He's
Mm,
taking 8.3 a game, and he's hitting 2.8 a game.
that's crazy because he dropped a full one. Because I think at one point it was 3.8. I don't know if it ever was higher than that,
Right,
but he was making 3.8 per game at one point.
right.
Um,
So 2.8. So now you're asking him to hit one
one,
extra one per game. So that's it, Jeff Clafter. He's taking 8.3 a game, and he's hitting 2.8 per game up to this point for 34.1%. And you're right, Tone. It's gone down. It was higher. His percentage
yeah,
was higher, and his makes per game were higher.
and his attempts. It was
It,
at 10
it,
at one point.
oh,
Yeah, it
wow.
was at 10 at one point. So, yeah, it's gonna be a tough task. Can he do it? I think he could do it. I think he could do it. I think he could do it. Um,
Mm.
let's see. I think it's one more. I know there's one more comment. I don't know if there's another question. Uh, oh, here we go. Z, is it just me or has RJ lost some weight? He looks slimmer and more nimble, which has transferred to better play. I'm gonna let you take that one, Queen. I didn't notice. It's something I'll look for,
Right.
moving forward. He's definitely been playing better though. The
He's
last
definitely.
five to
We're gonna
seven games.
talk about that on Queen's Court today. We're gonna dive into to RJ Barrett. Um, I don't know if he's looked swimmer. I don't know if he's looked slimmer, but he's definitely moving his feet, a little better, and he's looking better on the defensive end overall. I'm not sure what that's about though. I'm not sure why.
HP Carlos, salute. Appreciate you. Much
All
love
the
from
way from
Portugal.
Portugal.
Much love to Portugal.
Right.
You know. Back to that last one. Otherwise says, not otherwise. There we go. Because that was who asked the question, right?
About
Jeffrey. Um,
Randall.
yeah, he's saying that points to no, the 2.8 um in attempts. Alawai says he just needs 2 games on fire.
That's true.
That is true. 2 games with what? 5? Two
Yeah,
games with 6? I don't know if he's hit 6 in a game twice, right?
I believe so. Yeah, because there was. I remember one game where he was 6 of 12.
Only way I see he goes on a first quarter multiple times, 4 and a quarter.
Hmm.
I'll say 3 and a quarter multiple times he could do it.
Hmm.
Three in that first quarter. I was thinking about that last game when Brunson went off in the first quarter. Red is like, you taking these are my minutes. These are my moments. You're supposed to be down the stretch.
Right, right.
But shout out to Randall for some big moments down the stretch too.
Yeah.
Um, I heard Jarrell. He says, "If so, RJ needs to lose needs to lose even more weight in the off season." uh, RJ's playing smaller on offense.
Really?
I don't know what you mean by that, but I would say he's playing bigger on offense. But the way he's attacking the rim and actually finishing.
And cutting
Um,
down on the number of three pointers he's taking because RJ Barrett is not shooting well from the 3-point line at all.
yeah,
Especially
and he's been shooting a good shooting percentage as of late with
right,
the missed threes. He'd
right.
be like 12 for 16, and all four misses would be threes. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, right. He'll be 0 for 4 for 3. You're right. He's shooting 31.4 from 3. So it just goes to tell you when he has an efficient overall line of like 54%, that's letting you know he's shooting lights out at the
that
rim.
too. Yep.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. Um,
Um,
yeah.
let's see. All right, I think. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, we did that one. We did that one. This is the one right here. This might be the last one too. But there's a comment from Tommy Beer on Twitter that somebody reposted on Bleacher Report, and it says the Knicks have yet to lose a game with both Hart and Brunson healthy in the lineup. They're perfect 9-0. Then he says the last time Brunson and Hart played a full game together and lost was 6 years ago. Yesterday, March 18th, 2017, when Villanova lost to Wisconsin in the NCAA tournament, dating back to the Nova days. These two are 76-9 in their last 85 games. Uh, Tommy Beer, shout out to him because he always be finding these stats. You know what I mean? That just they be head scratching in the sense that how did you like what system did you use? You know what I mean to figure
Right,
these
right, right,
these
right.
these things out. But all in all, man, that's a hell of a stretch for these two to have together in
Yeah,
their last. I mean, dating back to college, but their last 85 games together, being 76-9. Like, and now you know why we saw the reaction that we saw when when Brunson realized that that we signed Josh Hart.
right, right.
Um, but yeah, that's it for today's show. You know,
Mhm,
little mailbag, nothing crazy, little light. We got a break. I think Sims coming on in about an hour
mhm.
for the pregame. Queens Court 6.
6 o'clock. Mhm.
Knicks game 7:30.
Yep,
Post game, might get another losers lounge in there. It's gonna be a full house tonight.
yep.
Um, any last words? Anything you want to comment on?
I'll be back Tuesday morning with the next morning recap on the Dope Soul Sports Talk channel. For those who are not aware, both me and Tony have our own channel. Well, you're on Tony's channel actually. So yeah, Dope Soul Sports Talk. If you like the way I do it, I have my own channel. Please subscribe. I didn't do the morning shoot around on Sunday, but I will be back tomorrow morning with it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Nice little lunch show. Nothing too serious. Appreciate you. Would you
We
would you
might think
call it
about
earlier? Would you call it earlier, Queen? I might
lunch
have to
break takes.
lunch
Lunch
break
takes on
takes.
your lunch break or something like
Takes.
that, or
We
lunch
we,
break
we
takes.
gotta come up with a name for the the afternoon joints. I like it, man. I was so
Absolutely.
tired before the show. Now I'm up and energized. That's what happens when you share the panel with the Queen. So
And vice versa.
I'll see you. I'll see you at 6. Hopefully, I could catch the tail end of the pregame.
Mhm.
And go Knicks. Salute to the chat, man. Appreciate you for always checking in. We out of here. Yo Black is time. Until next time. Just gotta find my outro. There we go. We out, guys.